Listeners of the deep below, we welcome you to a new story, and as always, ask you to visit the author's work, as well as visit us on other social media platforms. Welcome to the story. A boy named Lambkin was strolling back home from his beautiful walk in the country. It was his daily routine to stroll along the town, parkland and forest. On this day, the scenery was exceptionally glamorous. He typically delayed his coming back home simply for the admiration of the setting he was in. Everything from the flowers, the trees, the animals, the structures, the people, the vibe. Especially the vibe made him happy and dispelled any negative thoughts he had. On this day, he was strolling through the woods, following a path that leads to a route that would bring him home. His friends could not relate to it, but just being outside thrilled him. It was where he reached a state of ataraxy. Along the path in the woods, he ambled, turning his head left, right, and center to be able to take in everything he stood around. He promptly noticed an odd figure in the distance and ran towards it. As he hastened towards the odd figure, it soon became easy to see what it was. A body, one that was not moving, face in the ground and still. Lambkin stood there, bewildered. He called out to the body, but it did not respond. He stood a good distance away from it, so if it were to unexpectedly jump up and race at him, he'd have a good head start at running away from it. He presumed it could be a prank from the bullies at his school, since they know he loves to walk around these parts. The body was small, much like his, and looked quite familiar. After a while of standing and thinking, he decided to approach it. He patted the body on the back, hoping that it was merely asleep. The clothes covered most of its shape. However, he got a glance at its head once he was close. The sight of it was horrible. Lambkin practically vomited. The head had mold and maggots infested in it. He then suddenly picked up its odious scent. Lambkin ran away to where the route would guide him to people. As he ran out of the woods, he went to to the nearest person he saw to tell them about the dead body. A man he walked up to was walking home after a long day of work. "There's a dead person in the woods," he cried. The man did not respond at all, nor did he seem to even notice him at that, and he kept walking. Lambkin tapped his back. The man continued to not respond. "Mister, please help me." No response. Lambkin walked in front of him, but the man simply moved past him. He gave up and went to someone else, another man, sitting on a nearby bench. There's a dead person in the woods," he said. The man on the bench did not acknowledge him. "Help, mister," he whined and started to push him. The man merely sat there, gazing at the environment. Lambkin felt teary-eyed and looked around for more people that would listen. The street was not particularly busy today, so there were not a lot of people there. However, he noticed a couple walking into the woods that he had come out of. He was somewhat desperate to get someone's attention at that point. He started towards them, shouting. He ended up catching up to them inside the forest, a couple dozen meters away from where the body was originally. Lambkin calls out to them. They don't seem to acknowledge him. "There's a dead body," Lambkin cried as he shoved the couple. They end up noticing the Kedvia, but sauntered closer to get a better look. This time, with the moldy and rotten face of the Kedvia facing the opposite way, the couple knew that it was dead, and at the same time, Lambkin was relieved that people knew it was there, and at the same time, frustrated for the ignorance of those people. The couple turned around to call the authorities. They ran past Lambkin, seemingly not noticing his presence behind them. A few moments later, law enforcement was summoned to investigate the body. For some reason, Lambkin was still there, but nobody acknowledged him, and he saw them outside of the entrance to the woods as it was being guarded off. 2 policemen carried the corpse away. Earlier, the body looked familiar to him. Perhaps it reminded him of a friend from school. How and why would there be a dead body in the woods There were no known cases of murders around these parts, nor of wild animals. The area was rather safe, in fact. You could not really harm yourself unless you were being reckless. The only logical way someone could die like that was if they had suffered a massive heart attack or something similar to that notion. It would have had to have been triggered by something. What could there have been? Perhaps the scenery was so great and marvelous that itself was the cause. That did not sound too far-fetched. Matter of fact, Lambkin was convinced this is what killed the unknown person. Suddenly, he came to know who the body belonged to. It was him.